Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Techstroverts, the podcast exploring the how behind the who of people working in tech. My name is Martina Simon and I am your host. This podcast covers anything but the job. We introduce the guest, move on to the buzz wheel, a letter number randomizer that determines the questions I'll ask, and we close with sage advice about careers in the industry. Plug in. We're recording. Today, I am speaking with the amazing Aisling Flowers. What a name. Aisling, over to you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Aisling Flowers. I'm a business planning and operations manager in the central planning and ops team.
How we met is that we started on the exact same day in the business. My first kind of day attending the office, Ash was like, oh, if you need help finding out where stuff is. Yeah, she's so lovely. But let's launch it straight in. As you know, and you've heard from previous episodes here, guys, the Buzzwheel is a question bank of 520 questions that are determined by a letter and a number between 1 and 20. Aisling, if you could please give me a letter and a number.
Sure, I'll go for X2.
2 brings the topic of travel. The question is, will you fly anywhere between now and Christmas?
I'll definitely be flying home to Ireland for Christmas this year, but I have a friend who's from Paris and I'm really hoping to go over to her sometime just for a weekend and just eat cheese and drink wine and
that's pretty much
put on a few kilos. Yeah.
I'm very jealous. This is a lovely time of year to do it, I think, with the sort of autumnal glory. Question on this then. Are you a morning boozer? If you have an early flight, are you somebody that you will sit in the airport bar and get a quick one in?
I don't need you to read me like this, Martina. That's not fair. It's funny. I probably used to be, but not so much anymore. I think I'm probably not a big boozer in general, but no judgment. I don't mind someone having their like 5 a.m. Prosecco with the girlies. I love the energy for it. I think for me, old age is hitting me hard, where if I had a Prosecco at like 7 a.m., I would have a headache for the rest of the day.
And where in Ireland are you from?
I'm from a place called ㅤShe. It's in the Midlands of Ireland. So it's not really too much on the tourist trail. But I think the most famous thing we have is a service station called Barack Obama Plaza. And it has a bronze statue of Barack and Michelle because they went to visit this village in ㅤShe when he was running for president because he has an Irish connection. I'm not even joking.
And they were so grateful they built a statue.
Loved them. We love Barack. Everyone says, oh, like famous ㅤShe man, Barack Obama, like genuinely. So his great-great-great-great-grandfather comes from this tiny village near where I'm from. Amazing. And he went to visit it before he got elected. And he poured a pint in the local pub. And it just meant a lot to people that he came to visit. And he was so genuine in visiting. So naturally, we built a service station in his honor.
Another letter and number, please, Ash.
Okay, let's go for H4.
So this is a quick fire round, and it's just saying the first word that comes to mind. Martini.
James Bond.
Negroni.
Spagliato.
Lager.
Men.
Rosé.
The girlies.
Oh, I love that. Really good. They felt thought out, but they were. I can attest to the fact that they were off the top of Ash's head. And that's that. Another letter and number, please.
N6.
6 is the topic of tech. And the question for N is, was the birth of video streaming the death of traditional TV?
I don't watch television anymore, and I'm the prime audience for someone who, has subscription services. It fits into my lifestyle and you can pick and choose, and that's fine. I think that terrestrial TV is still something that's very important to people. Like, for example, if I think about my family, they would only watch terrestrial. And I think it's something around the familiarity and the safety. And particularly when you have instances or situations like COVID, where everybody was glued to terrestrial TV and specifically terrestrial news. I do think it's definitely had a dent in traditional television. But I think traditional television has also adapted to that. So I think it's more about how has it shaped the adaptation of traditional television. Depending on where you are in the world, I think terrestrial has a really, really defined and important place.
Completely agree in terms of it's very dependent on the demographic, but then convenience of your lifestyle. I don't remember what's on. I used to be a huge fan of EastEnders. You'd know every day it came on. I think it was Tuesday, Thursday, 7:30, and then the other days 8 p.m., I think. And then you'd know like what came on before and what came on after. And I was having this chat with my mum the other day, and we were saying, look, should we just can TV? You know, you've got the TV license and all of this, but if nobody sat down to watch it because life's based on convenience now, is it still worth having? So I think there's maybe an argument for both sides.
I think it is getting phased out, and there's probably a thing about age as well. But if I look at people like my parents, there would be no chance on God's green earth that my mother could download Netflix, like logging in first of all would just cause a row in the house, you know, whereas she can just turn on her television and know that, you know, whatever, Coronation Street, Emmerdale, like one of those is going to be on. But it will be interesting to see what does the future of those type of broadcasting formats look like.
Yeah, who are they expecting to be able to work this stuff? But yeah, food for thought. Let's move on to another letter and number, please.
I-11.
Number 11 is the topic of film and TV. And the question for I is, have you ever been obsessed with a character from TV?
You know what? I sometimes get a little bit obsessed with reality TV show characters. I don't know if you've ever watched Married at First Sight Australia.
Not the Oz one.
It's actually better, in my opinion, than the UK one. I hope that's not too controversial. But God, this is so, it says a lot about me. So there was this character on a few seasons ago, and her name was Cyrell, and I really enjoyed her. And she got nicknamed Cyclone Cyrell because she was quite a fiery character. But I really liked Cyrell because I don't think she ever learned how to approach things in a way that wasn't a little bit overcooked, we'll say. But she always meant really well, because I'm a bit of a hothead myself. I've really had to learn in instances where I think things are unfair, not to feel too like wronged. And like, I think she grew as well as a character and eased into it a bit and used her words a bit more. And but I always liked her because I always thought she was really well-meaning. And anytime there was any conflict going on in the group, or, you know, someone was sleeping with someone else's husband, blah, 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 she was the person who stood up and was like, that's not right, guys. It's very disrespectful. I felt like she had a great moral compass. And my best friend, I was staying with her at the time when we were watching this on UK TV, and it was her birthday. And you know, you can get those cameos from like celebrities.
On the app Cameo,
Yeah. So I got Cyrell to do a video for my friend Alice. And she did such a wonderful, sweet video. Like, it was way more than I think the standard of most cameos. And I knew it would be that way because I just knew Cyrell, she's on a certain level with the girlies. You know what I mean?
Yeah. She's a girl's girl, she sounds like.
Exactly. Yeah. So I always enjoyed Cyrell on that show. And then anybody, like... This is what I'm telling you, Martina. I'm afraid to tell anyone else because it tells too much about my character, you know?
Well, no, what's interesting, even from the Cyrell example, is she is a character from TV, but she's a real person. You went straight to reality TV. That suggests that you're grounded in the fact that you're watching TV, but that you're also taking away, look, these are real people. You could have gone anywhere. This could have been Disney characters. It could have been, you know, something that you watched growing up. So, all very interesting. Aisling, can you please give me the final letter and number combination?
Oh, okay, this is the big one. Let's go for D14.
Okie dokie. The topic for number 14 is music. The question is, did you listen to the last Kanye West album?
No, not intentionally anyway. Maybe it's been on and I've kind of heard it.
I don't know if you're following pop culture around this guy at the moment.
Not so much, but people keep asking me, what do I think of Kanye West? And I was on a date recently and someone asked me that. And I was like, I have literally no opinion on Kanye West.
I don't think of Kanye West, you probably thought. Let me give you the download. So Kanye West, he's super controversial. We know that. He kind of rants often. Most recently, he's come out wearing a White Lives Matter t-shirt.
That's a choice. Okay.
That's a choice. But the week before last, he wrote a post saying, and I'm paraphrasing, that he's tired at the moment, but when he wakes up, he's going to go DEFCON or attack the Jewish culture because X, Y, and Z. Most recently, he said that George Floyd wasn't killed by the police, he was high on drugs, which George Floyd, for those that don't know, his death kind of sparked the Black Lives Matter movement to become as big as it was first in America and then internationally. And it caused change in people to recognize things that maybe they'd known, but it took that. He's got so many people that follow him and love his music and culture. And he just feels like he's doing more and more to just irritate and upset people. And people think that he's lining up an album and he wants to bring out a new project. And that's why he's doing it. But you didn't know that before. Since you know it now, any additional thoughts or just on somebody who has a lot of sway making comments like that?
I mean, anyone who's engaging in hateful speech against
Mm,
any community, I would have little time for in general.
mhm.
I think the question is, and it's always a really complicated one that would never be solved, is like separating the art from the artist.
Exactly. Are you able to do that quite easily then in general?
It's probably easy for me because I don't follow him religiously. Like, I think
Hmm.
he's obviously very talented and has
Mm,
had some, amazing songs and amazing albums. Knowing more about him personally, I obviously have zero time for any type of anti-Semitism or
yeah.
racism and it's super complex as well around the racism because he is a black man, but
Mm.
also, is it like a self-hating thing or,
Well, yeah, and he's got children of mixed race. So what message are you,
he's
sending to your
sending.
children who have mixed culture, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And I imagine a lot of his fans are, black or people of color, and they
Yeah.
must feel really let down by that. Or
Hmm.
even Jewish fans. I mean, I wouldn't be keen on following someone that hated me. But yeah, I mean,
Mm.
like, but the issue is if we are to disregard everyone's artistic output that was problematic,
We'd be
there would
disregarding a lot of
we
people.
would have nothing to look at.
It's a really good point, and I think there is a bit here that is potentially too deep to deep dive into, but
Mm,
anybody, everybody that has any kind of influence or sway and knows they have people listening does have a
mhm,
responsibility to use that in a way that is
mm,
deliberate and, not overtly negative. And I just think
mm,
there's a delicate balance between being outspoken and freedom of speech
mhm.
and being responsible, would be my view there.
And also, I just feel like with Kanye West, he's a bit of a shock jockey as well, isn't
Yeah,
he?
yeah, absolutely. The MAGA hat, the friendship with Donald Trump. And we will park Kanye. Aisling, you have been a phenomenal guest. I've really, really enjoyed this conversation. Thank you for having this chat with me. Before we tie up and tally up the
Hmm.
podcast with each guest, I do ask them to offer sage advice. What is a piece of advice that has stuck with you throughout your life that you would love to give to somebody listening?
I think it's really important for people not to think too much about having certain boxes ticked in terms of education or qualifications. I wouldn't ever let it hold you back. I think there's always avenues and access points that you can leverage off of. Take what you have now in terms of an opportunity and make it work for you. There's a little bit of luck involved, obviously, but I knocked on enough doors to be able to go, hey, I've actually worked as a project manager before, and this is the thing that we ran. Please give me a job in project management. And eventually
Absolutely.
somebody will see that and go, yeah, that person can do it.
I love that. Yeah, it's not a look for the sort of adaptation of skills
Yeah,
and transferability of skills and kind of make that your portfolio rather than, to your point, kind of like it has to be a specific way. The stars need to align. I love that.
exactly.
Aisling, it's been fabulous chatting to you.
Same to you. Thank you, Martina. I really enjoyed it, actually. I was a bit nervous at the beginning, but you're a very good host, very calming influence.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thanks, Martina.